Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wednesday Night Storm. 2 episodes until Nitro 10, the biggest show of the year. But do you really need me to remind you of that? Of course you don't. This is going to be absolutely massive, and it comes in an absolutely massive week. I will remind you again, if you are a regular viewer of GAW Academy Stormchaser, and you should be, we will have a special presentation of the final episode of Stormchaser before the knockout tournament begins tomorrow. That is Tuesday, December 22nd. Due to the holidays, we're moving our schedule around a little bit. Today we begin with Kairi Sane facing Tegan Nox, and this is just the first in what will be an incredible night of matches, including Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. both in action. The Usos battling the Young Bucks in a dream match that we get to see over and over and over again here in GAW, and it culminates with the hottest young rookie in GAW, Kaitlyn Dunlap, in action, and we'll tell you more about that as the show goes on. You can hear just the absolute animosity from the fans for these two. And look at the new look for Dakota Kai and for Tegan Nox. This Dakota Kai made headlines, to say the least, after brutally attacking Asuka last week, and it was announced that she will be part of the first ever 2-match turmoil at Nitro 10. We'll explain that, but first, Dakota Kai, shortly after her shocking attack, had this to say.
I tried. Tegan and I tried. We really did. We tried to do things the right way. The way that we knew was going to win us championships, or so we were told. And so we tried to be nice, and it didn't work. And we tried to bend the rules a little bit, but still play fair, and it didn't work. And so now, everyone has to learn the consequences of what happens when you cross us, when you don't give us what we've earned. Casey had to learn it the hard way. Rosita will learn it the hard way, and Tegan will deal with her in time. And Asuka, she'll learn it too. Do not cross team kick. You're going to learn why.
Well, this is just the latest in a murderer's row of competitors that Kairi Sane has had to take on. She's coming off a loss to Dakota Kai, who will of course be fighting Asuka in the first ever 2-match turmoil at Nitro, like I mentioned. Sane fought Asuka several times. Look at this surfboard stretch here from Tegan Nox, trying to work on the lower back of Asuka, crossbody into the cover, and Nox kicks out. Just Sane took on Nox several times. And now Sane going for the cover bridge on the German. And of course, Sane also took on Lita in the US title tournament. So you're talking about Kairi Sane taking on the 2 greatest champions in the history of the GAW women's division, and then taking on the 3rd ever US champion here with Tegan Nox. So it has not been an easy road for Kairi Sane, but I mentioned before, it's a big reason why a lot of the fans have come to really appreciate Kairi and have rooted for her to get back on track here. Tegan Nox making sure that that doesn't happen this match. Nox says, oh my God, Kairi Sane with the German on the outside. Tegan Nox, of course, has her own plans for Nitro. You can only assume that Rosita and the newly debuted Hernandez will be the ones to step up and challenge Tegan Nox for the US title. A title that she won under unfair circumstances. She basically stole it from Casey Catanzaro, who Dakota Kai just admitted to attacking and taking her out of competition for a while. Kai and Nox had been training with Catanzaro. They had been friends, and they turned on her. Nox explodes out of the corner with a big lariat kick to the back. Kairi on her back, and now Tegan Nox going for the cover. Kairi kicks out before 2. Nox going for the basement drop kick. Sane out of the way. It's even more dangerous. Oh, Tegan Nox with a Canadian destroyer. I think that's a new move that she's added to the arsenal. I haven't seen her pull that one out before. Kairi Sane with a flurry of forearms, and now Irish whip into the corner. Sane trying to get started here. Goes for the spear in the corner. Nox intercepts her with a DDT. Nox was dangerous already, and then you add in this new edge that she and Dakota Kai have found, and it gets even worse. Sane again with the German referee, distracted by Dakota Kai. And Kairi Sane just having to reassess her situation here. Sane now going up top, high red district for the Pirate Princess. Sane going for the elbow drop, nobody home. And Tegan Nox now. Schoolboy tried to grab the tights, but the referee saw a rope break right away on Kairi Sane. And now Sane, look at this. Alabama slam from Kairi Sane. And now Kairi going up top. Sane lining it up. Insane elbow, no! Tegan Nox moved out of the way. And now Tegan Nox has herself a big time advantage. Nox with an open hand palm strike. Sends Kairi Sane up to the top. Now Tegan Nox ascends. Kairi Sane. Oh, knees to the gut from Tegan Nox. Drives down the Pirate Princess. And now Tegan Nox going for the cover. No! Kairi Sane manages to kick out Tegan Nox, none too happy. Nox did what she could. And now she's looking for the kill shot. Boot to the gut, no. Kairi Sane catches what I think would have been a shiniest wizard, which now looks even more dangerous with that exposed knee brace on Tegan Nox's right knee. Kairi Sane marching to the other corner, inner sight. Sane going for the sliding elbow, and Tegan Nox moved out of the way, and Nox with a drop kick. Tegan Nox has been one step ahead of Kairi Sane this entire match. And you gotta think that it's because of the training that she and Dakota Kai have been doing. Kairi Sane back into the ring with a twisting Falcon Arrow, and now Sane manages to grab the leg and go for the cover. Tegan Nox able to kick out. Kairi Sane, you got to think right now. So the World Championship scene can't do with the new challenger right now. We've already got two at Nitro, but Sane with a win over Tegan Nox could absolutely plant herself in the U.S. title discussion, considering that Rosita, for as hot as she's been, as much as she's been talked about, she has not had a win over Tegan Nox, so nothing really ties her to the U.S. Championship other than her claims to fight for it. Meanwhile, Tegan Nox going for another boot to the gut. Kairi Sane catches Dragon Screw leg whip. We saw earlier Tegan Nox trying to go for the choke slam. Kairi Sane able to avoid it. Tegan Nox with a knee and a heavy right, and now boot to the gut. Shiniest wizard. I think that is curtains, folks. Tegan Nox, it's elementary. Drags Kairi back into the middle of the ring. Nox for the cover, and Tegan Nox picks up the win. It was a hard-fought battle, as it tends to be when you're talking about a match involving Kairi Sane, but at the end of the day, the combined power of Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai and how hot they've been, there's just not much you can do, unfortunately. Kairi Sane falls to yet another of the greatest competitors in GAW. You are truly talking about the worst schedule that anyone's had to deal with, but I imagine that Kairi Sane will be back sooner rather than later. Tegan Nox, questions abound about what her future may look like, but coming up next, Will Ospreay coming off the biggest win since he lost his championship to Bobby Lashley over Zack Sabre Jr. We know that Ospreay will be fighting at Nitro, and he's got himself a warm-up match against one of the other great cruiserweight champs of all time. It's great to see Will Ospreay back competing
at the top level, we always have to wonder when a guy loses a championship under the circumstances that Ospreay did, if his mental state is going to be okay after that. But it certainly seems that Ospreay has come through the clearer, and he's added, of course, his new submission Chaos Project, which we saw him debut against Zack Sabre Jr. in a submission match that Ospreay shockingly took from the submission master. And Ospreay, we know, is headed to Nitro, so this represents a warm-up for Ospreay on his road to reclaim the Intercontinental Championship. Well, Ricochet's still not back to his old self, but at least he doesn't have any Alpha associates coming out with him. That was an all too common occurrence that we saw for several months here in GAW, the Evil Alpha taking over, really. And at one time, he controlled Matt Hardy, who was the Intercontinental Champion. He controlled Pac, who won the Challenger briefcase and allowed him to cash in and win the World Championship. He controlled the Lucha Brothers, who were tag team champions. And he controlled Ricochet as well, who helped each and every one of those. And Ricochet actually was one of the original Alpha associates. That group is now gone, but you can see that Ricochet still hasn't quite returned to his normal self, at least in terms of his personality. We'll see if he's returned to his normal self in the ring. If you've been a fan of wrestling for any amount of time, then the prospect of these two squaring off in the ring will certainly make you excited. These two, in many ways, defined or helped to define the modern style of wrestling. Will Ospreay, though, starting off with a submission, Ricochet able to roll underneath. But the battles between these two, the athleticism, the pacing of their matches in so many ways has defined the modern style of wrestling. But Will Ospreay, in many ways, is a different man than the man who went against Ricochet in so many storied bouts. He's a little heavier now, a little stronger, and with good reason. But Ospreay still going up top, looking for the shooting star to a standing Ricochet. Ricochet able to get out of the way. And Ricochet now has both arms locked in. Look at this. Ricochet now bringing out a submission of his own. Beautifully done here from Ricochet. And he lets it go. I don't think he was trying to get the tap out. I think that he was mainly focused on damaging the back of Will Ospreay. Northern Lights suplex, locomotion into a twisting brainbuster. Now, even though Ospreay has gained some weight and has moved up in weight class, and even though Ricochet has dealt with a lot when it comes to Alpha over the last year, we can still expect pacing like this. Ricochet with a somersault into a drop kick. We can still expect this match to be, well, exactly what it's always been. The two best athletes in the world of wrestling going at it one-on-one. Ospreay now drags Ricochet up against the top rope. Ricochet with a deep arm drag. Boot to the gut from Ospreay. Snapmare. Ospreay loaded up for that basement drop kick. And he delivered. I think Ricochet's still hearing ringing in his ears. Ospreay once again brings him against the top rope. Ospreay comes off. Irish whip reversed. Ospreay handspring. Cutter. What else? Ospreay taking a minute to admire his handiwork as the Cutter has left Ricochet floored. Ospreay drags him back into the middle of the ring, and now the aerial assassin going for the cover. Will Ospreay picks up a big win. How many different weapons does Will Ospreay have in his toolbox? He didn't have to bring out the Tower of London, that flipping DDT that we've seen from Ospreay before. It's actually how he won the Intercontinental Championship. Didn't even need to use that. Didn't need to use Stormbreaker. Didn't need to use Chaos Project. Instead, we just got maybe the most electrifying 3 minutes you will ever see, followed up with a huge Cutter.
And these two, of course, are no strangers to each other, and this match was just about everything we could have expected. But Ospreay, with the momentum that he has right now, well, how could you expect anything different? Ospreay is headed to Nitro 10 to fight for the Intercontinental Championship. Of course, the main event of that show will see the GAW Classic champion Aleister Black go up against Kenny Omega. Let's take a look at Aleister Black's journey to the Nitro 10 main event.
Professional wrestling is all I've ever wanted to do. It's all I've ever wanted to be. It defined me. It still does. It was my life. It was everything I did. I lost friends. I missed parties. Missed hangouts. Missed birthdays. Missed weddings. Probably damaged myself irreparably in the eyes of other people, but I never cared. I would give up every person in my life, everything that I ever did to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And I saw that. I saw it within my grasp. Winning a world championship. Being a champion here in GAW. I saw it, and I almost saw it slip away at the hands of Jay White and the Blade Runners. And I thought that I could do something. That for all those years that I had trained and I had given everything I had to be a professional wrestler, I felt that I was in control. It was up to me how fast I rose. It was up to me how hard I worked. And for the first time, it wasn't up to me anymore. Whether my world championship shot was going to slip away, whether my belt that I had worked so hard to earn was going to slip away, it wasn't up to me. And I wanted that control back. And I realized how much of a mistake I made. And it will never be totally undone. The things that I did. It will hover over me forever. It will hover over this company forever. But the best I can do is work harder than I ever have to try to repair everything that I put in jeopardy. Things are truly within my grasp once again. I have control once again. And now I'm going to use it to make things right.
Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay main evented Wednesday Night Storm a couple episodes ago. Ospreay pulled off a shocking upset in a submission match against Zack Sabre Jr., in part by debuting the Chaos Project, as we talked about before, but Zack Sabre Jr. still has his eyes set on proving himself to his new boss, Conor McGregor, and I think that's the reason why Sabre is coming out to this match alone, despite the fact that Sabre joined the mob just a couple episodes ago. Well, this is certainly poetic in a way. Will Ospreay goes up against one of the original Alpha Associates in Ricochet. And now Zack Sabre Jr. goes up against the original Alpha Associate in Matt Hardy. Ricochet, a former Cruiserweight champion. Matt Hardy, a former Intercontinental champion. Very interesting here. And just like Ricochet, Matt Hardy presents his own set of challenges for Zack Sabre Jr., but we'll see what kind of headspace Sabre is in after that shocking defeat to Will Ospreay. Still to come, like I mentioned, the Usos versus the Young Bucks, a match that I could never get tired of no matter how many times we see it. Zack Ospreay with a grounded hammerlock takes the arm and snaps the shoulder back, and immediately setting himself up for any of the myriad of submissions that Sabre can use, whether it be the cross arm breaker, we've seen him use the cattle mutilation, of course the octopus stretch, and anything he does, you can bet that he'll be setting you up throughout the duration of the match. Sabre with a big strike, float over, DDT. Matt Hardy lost the Intercontinental Championship to Will Ospreay. That was part of Ospreay's quest to unify the Cruiserweight and Intercontinental Championships. which he did successfully by beating Matt Hardy at Winterfest. And Hardy ever since then just has not, he was in the GAW Classic, and he actually made it all the way to the finals and ended up losing to Aleister Black, but he just has not reached the levels of the Intercontinental Championship, that reign that he had when he came back in the Rumble on the Beach. And then, of course, the rest is history. Zack Sabre Jr. now over into the cattle mutilation. And Sabre has a strong bridge here. Matt Hardy will have to fight to get out of it, and he does. Early in the match for the cattle mutilation, and I think Zack Sabre Jr. knows that very well. Zack Sabre, one of the smartest competitors out there, and I think that's a reason why Conor McGregor tabbed him for the mob. Matt Hardy went for the side effect. Zack Sabre Jr. with a beautiful dragon suplex to get himself out of it, and now Sabre with a grounded Matt Hardy. And again, just the myriad of submissions that Zack Sabre Jr. has perfected across his career. You never know what he might be going for. Anywhere he is at any given time could be a dangerous position, and Sabre now targeting the legs of Matt Hardy. Sabre brings Hardy to his feet and now into a suplex position. Hardy gets the knee in. Able to save himself from that one, and again, Hardy will try to go for the neck breaker, and it lands. All setting up for the twist of fate. So it makes sense that Matt Hardy is targeting the head and neck area of Zack Sabre Jr. Sabre with a knee, and now a boot to the gut. Drops Hardy to one knee with a strike, and now look at Zack Sabre wrenching the arm. That'll dislocate your shoulder in 1 second. And Zack Sabre Jr., I think he knows it. Cross arm breaker with the leg trapped. It's his own variation. You can see the cross on his legs around Matt Hardy. This is an incredibly difficult submission to work your way out of. Hardy's got to try to do his best, and he ends up wrenching his leg free, and that allows him to free himself from that submission. But Zack Sabre Jr. comes right back into an octopus stretch. Sabre has him in position, and Matt Hardy has no choice but to tap out. And it's almost the most embarrassing way to go. You got to tap out against your own body. You don't even get to tap out on the mat. Zack Sabre Jr. The octopus stretch. Will Ospreay manage to survive it? But not many men can, as Matt Hardy has unfortunately found out. And Zack Sabre Jr. has grabbed himself another submission win. Maybe the best in the world in that. Drew McIntyre's come out to the ring. McIntyre has his eyes on Zack Sabre Jr. Sabre trying to fight back. McIntyre, this is just the first in what has been a growing rivalry between the Mob and the Blade Runners, and Zack Sabre Jr. has managed to defend himself pretty well here against McIntyre. McIntyre doesn't have good luck when it comes to this. If you remember all the way back to the final show before Bash at the Beach, McIntyre tried to attack his opponent Aleister Black and ended up eating a black mass for his troubles. But certainly the message here is that the Blade Runners and the Mob are going to have some issues, and Zack Sabre Jr. now puts Drew McIntyre into the cattle mutilation. Zack Sabre Jr. has defended himself well against the Scottish Psychopath, and now he's put Drew McIntyre into the octopus stretch. McIntyre trying to work his way out. Zack Sabre Jr. has defended himself, but certainly the message has been sent. The Young Bucks are no stranger to the top teams in the world, and of course they are themselves one of the best teams in the world, but they have not had the run in GAW that you would expect from a team like this. Rather, the headlines have belonged to the Usos, the Lucha Brothers, and now the Guerrillas of Destiny. But with the Usos and GOD seemingly on a collision course for Nitro, the Young Bucks can throw a wrench in that plan with a win here over the former champs. know I always let the Usos make their entrance. I let the music play for a while before I start talking, because the Usos' entrance is really just something to behold. And this team, the way that they've acted, what they've done in GAW since they came here, is just a testament to how great they are as a team. And they certainly seem to have a date lined up with GOD at Nitro. It hasn't been officially announced, but it's been all but confirmed the way that the two teams talk. And so this may represent the culmination, the confirmation that the Usos are headed to the biggest show of the year. This isn't the first time that these two teams have squared off, and good for us as fans. And it's never not fun to watch these two. And the Usos immediately set up Matt Jackson with a pop-up Samoan drop. These two fought in the semifinals of the tag team title tournament. The Usos, of course, went on to win that tournament, instituted after the Revival were forced to drop the tag belts due to injury back at Nitro 9. The Usos went on to win. They went on to then defend the titles against the Young Bucks at Bash at the Beach. The same event where Jimmy Uso fought Kofi Kingston for the Intercontinental Championship. Jimmy came up just short, and now he clotheslines Matt Jackson over the top. Jimmy came up just short in that match, but the Usos, of course, retained their titles against the Young Bucks, went on to hold them for many more months. It was there, by the way, that the Usos stated that they would begin their dominance of both the tag and singles division, and it certainly seemed like they were trending in that direction, but then they ran afoul of Alpha, and that's never good news. Super kick party from the Young Bucks. The two teams that throw probably the two best super kicks in the world. And there's another one. Nick Jackson plants one right between the eyes of Jimmy Uso, now going for the cover, and Jey Uso is there. The Usos plan out their matches so well. They have such a great tactical sense and such great chemistry that even in times where it seems like they have a disadvantage, they know what they're doing. And this could be one of those times as Jimmy Uso locks up Nick Jackson into the Tequila Sunrise. Uso wrenching back on Nick Jackson, driving his knee into that lower back. And Nick Jackson was in a lot of pain. I think Jimmy Uso realized that he wasn't getting anywhere that way. Releases the submission and will instead opt for, I think, a move that, if anything, could be even more painful. This has become a regular occurrence in Uso matches as Jimmy Uso rises to the top. Superplex to the outside. It's become pretty typical in Uso matches, and I think it all goes back to the idea the Usos are like a 1970s boxer. They'll punish every single part of your body. The knockout may be the super kick to the head, but it happens. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and the cuts could come anywhere. And that's exactly how the Usos thrive. Meanwhile, Nick Jackson turning up the athleticism a little bit with an enziguri on Jimmy. And now Nick Jackson with a Northern Lights suplex. A move made famous by his brother. Jimmy Uso tosses him across. The Young Bucks have yet to really reach the pinnacle. Ever since 2018 was the last time they reigned with the GAW Tag Team Championships. Ever since then, they failed to reach those heights. Now, of course, some of that is due to their time in other promotions, and some of it is due to Matt Jackson being on the shelf with injury for a few months. Either way, this would be the time for them to figure some things out against one of the great champions we've seen in GAW in the last 5 years at least. Folks, we got breaking news. Conor McGregor is backstage responding to the attempted attack on Zack Sabre Jr. Let's get back there right now.
First of all, it's just funny to think that you send your man out there and he gets his ass whooped by my man. I mean, I knew it was always going to happen, but sometimes we just have to prove it to you. But look, I'm going to make this short and sweet. At Nitro, the Mob versus the Blade Runners, and I'm so confident that we'll whoop your ass. We'll disband if we lose. If you lose, bye-bye Blade Runners.
Well, the challenge has been laid down. The gauntlet has been thrown. Conor McGregor and the Mob challenging the Blade Runners at Nitro 10, the biggest show of the year. Meanwhile, Jimmy Uso drops Nick Jackson with a Samoan drop. Wow. Oh, wait to hear the response from Jay White and the Blade Runners. But, wow. Nitro is shaping up certainly to be the show of the year as we promised, and maybe the show of the decade. It's a tall ask. But you're talking about the Mob versus the Blade Runners, along with everything else. We'll give a short rundown of the match card as it stands coming up after this match. And of course, this here is the prelude to our main event, which will see Dakota Kai and Kaitlyn Dunlap fight for the advantage in two-match turmoil at Nitro 10. Both women will get an opportunity to fight for the World Championship, but who will take the unenviable task of facing Asuka first? That's what we will find out in a match later tonight. That match is coming up next. And this match can go a long way into determining a Nitro opponent, of course, for the Gorillas of Destiny. A team that these two teams have a lot of history with, although in different ways. God and the Usos have been inextricably linked for basically their whole careers, but they've never faced off in the ring. Meanwhile, God and the Young Bucks have been in the ring many times together, both as friends and as foes. Nick Jackson now wrenching Jey Uso to his feet in a vertical suplex. Jey Uso raking the eyes, and this just goes to show you how much the Usos need this match against God. And I gotta say, beyond the fact that the Usos versus God has been a dream match for as long as I can remember, Jey Uso now with Nick Jackson up, Samoan death drop. An homage to their father Rikishi, but they didn't do it for The Rock. They did it for a Nitro match. And Jey Uso might just get it. Tequila Sunrise, and he's wrenching all the way back. This is the second one that Nick Jackson's been in. Can he withstand? He cannot. Jey Uso forces a tap out on the Tequila Sunrise. The little talked about but very dangerous submission that both Usos employ. It looked like it could have been an early night with an early super kick. The Usos withstood as they usually do and put the boots to Nick Jackson. They kept him in the ring for so long and just ground him down. And ultimately, that's what you need to do. I do believe that the Usos could be headed to Nitro 10. And speaking of Nitro 10, let's talk about the match card as it stands right now. The matches that we have confirmed, of course, two-match turmoil, the first one ever in GAW, featuring the hottest young rookie Kaitlyn Dunlap, Dakota Kai, the woman with a new mean streak, and of course the women's world champion Asuka. Both women will get a chance at Asuka's world championship, but who will face her first? That's what we'll find out in the main event. Of course, we will have the Goldberg Beat the Clock Challenge, one of our favorite traditions at Nitro. We will announce the field for that stellar event coming up next episode of Wednesday Night Storm. We will see Will Ospreay try to reclaim the Intercontinental Championship from Bobby Lashley. We will see, I am very pleased to announce, the Mob versus the Blade Runners, 8-man tag action. That will be an incredible match, to be sure, between two of the company's most dangerous factions. And in the main event, it is the winner of the GAW Classic, Aleister Black, taking on the 4-time world champion, the legend,
Kenny Omega. It promises to be one of the greatest bouts that you will ever see, and you can only see it in the main event of Nitro 10. But coming up, it's the main event of GAW Wednesday Night Storm. Dakota Kai faces Kaitlyn Dunlap for the advantage in two-match turmoil.
Prima donna girl, yeah. All I ever wanted was the world.
Kaitlyn Dunlap, the woman nicknamed the Goddess. She is the hottest young rookie in GAW. And I say that knowing that she has really not made herself a lot of friends backstage, given her attitude. However, to chalk up wins in the course of about 4 days against the best the GAW Academy has to offer, and then a shocking upset over Asuka, well, there's just not much you can say. And Kaitlyn Dunlap has earned herself a place at Nitro. We pride ourselves in being a very sports-driven company, a very sports-focused company here in GAW. And Kaitlyn Dunlap has earned herself a spot. There's no question about it. So now, really, the only question is, can she give herself an even bigger advantage here? This is the second time for these two. Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. This time it will be Kai who fights, as Tegan Nox, of course, earlier on took on Kairi Sane. And before that, of course, Tegan Nox had some words, or Dakota Kai had some words for everyone backstage, and specifically for Rosita and Hernandez when it came to Tegan Nox. Well, it would have been nice if they would have told me this before when I was talking about the card at Nitro 10, but folks, I can confirm that Tegan Nox will defend her U.S. Championship against Rosita, and I can confirm it because Rosita had 2 words to tweet to Tegan Nox just a couple minutes ago. Nitro 10. That's all that needs to be said. And Rosita's made a big name for herself, and we'll see if Dakota Kai can give herself an advantage for her World Championship match at Nitro 10. No time limit here, I should say. No time limit. 10-second count out is what I was going for. We are going to have a winner in this match, one way or the other. And we will not have a triple threat for the World Championship at Nitro. That would not be fair to Asuka, the Women's World Champion, given the exact parameters of what is going on here. Folks, before we get any farther, I'm being told Jey Uso is backstage. We all knew where this was headed, Us. From the beginning, we knew. Usos versus GOD at Nitro. It's a match that feels like it's been decades in the making. And now it's going to happen. The Usos have proved that we deserve a chance to get our titles back. Well, there you have it, folks. The Usos challenging GOD at Nitro 10. Certainly that has been out there. The two have exchanged venomous words in the past, but as of yet, it has not escalated to physicality, but it certainly will do that at Nitro 10. And I gotta say, that is one of my most anticipated matches of the year. Kaitlyn Dunlap actually exiting the ring here. Dakota Kai goes and chases her down. Dunlap throws the strike off back into the ring and now hits Kai with a strike. Dunlap looking for a neck breaker. Dunlap actually outsmarting Dakota Kai. But Kai, this new aggression, this new mean streak that apparently both members of Team Kick have found. We'll see if that serves her well in this match. Dunlap with a couple boots to the face off the pop-up. You know, certainly is a new attitude for Team Kick, and one thing that really evidences that I want to talk about, if you look on Dakota Kai's right knee, you will see an exposed knee brace. And those are knee braces. You saw it for Tegan Nox as well.
both members of Team Kick wear knee braces. The story of that, and really it links to the story of Team Kick in general, when they trained on the independents, they fought on the independents many, many times. They actually came to WWE NXT, and it was there that they really forged a friendship, and then both of them sustained serious knee injuries at basically the same time. So they rehabbed their injuries together, and that's where they became very fast friends. And so when they both healed, it was shortly after that they made the move to GAW together as Team Kick. And so they keep those knee braces to protect the injured knees. And normally they would be covered and they would just be protection, but now both women wear them exposed. And I think there's no mystery as to why. You know, it hurts enough to just be kneed in the face, but to have that knee be covered in plastic and fiberglass, well, that's even worse. Kai, for the second time, trying to go for that running boot. Dunlap out of the way and hits her with a thrust kick. And the Goddess doing what she does best, letting everyone know that they're inferior. And Dunlap drops Kai with a neck breaker right over the knee. No involvement as of yet from Tegan Nox in this match. We'll see if that continues going forward. I wouldn't expect it to. We'll see how much Kai is able to control the proceedings here. Kai with a few face wash boots to a seated Kaitlyn Dunlap. Kai front chancery, turns her around. And Kai rams her into the top turnbuckle. And now Dakota Kai out of the corner. Kai with a corner sunset flip. High stack for Dakota Kai. Dunlap able to kick out. Kai, another front chancery. Right now, this is all Dakota Kai here. Had Dunlap against the ropes. Dunlap tried to throw Kai out of the ring. Kai stays there on the top, but Dunlap now brings her through the top, and Dunlap wraps up Kai's arms in the ropes, wrenching her back, and then a boot to the face for good measure. And that's on that LED board as well. Referee's got to be careful here. Got to look at Tegan Nox, what she might be doing, and I think Dunlap knows it too. She may be a rookie, but she is smart. Dunlap trying to bring Kai into the ring. Kai able to make it to her feet. And now Kai once again front chancery and an enziguri. Tegan Nox loving it. You can see jawing with Kaitlyn Dunlap as Dunlap was downed right in front of Tegan Nox, coming off her match earlier, and Nox now knows her opponent for Nitro 10. Kai with a knee to the face, and that's exactly what I told you, how painful it is to get that brace right to the mouth. But Dunlap able to shake it off, kick to the back. Kai ducks, thrust kick to the gut. And now Dunlap comes straight back with a double sledge. Lariat. Dunlap catches Kai with a face breaker. Dunlap holding her own, but you know, how much of a surprise is that? This is a woman who beat Asuka after all. And you'd have to do something like that to be a rookie and be elevated to the point where you're competing for a world championship at Nitro. It's never happened before. Kai into the front chancery and a step up enziguri. In fact, only one rookie in history has ever competed at Nitro for any reason. Kai with the knee comes right across the jaw of Kaitlyn Dunlap. The only rookie ever to compete at Nitro. Dunlap, hang on a second. Dunlap avoided the chiropractor, and now Dunlap rolls Kai into a figure four sharpshooter. A very unique submission, but very painful, especially if you've got bad knees, which Kai definitely does. But Kai was able to work her way out of it. Kai with a boot, arm trapped, and Kai brings her leg right across the jaw of the Goddess. And now Dakota Kai, she's been looking for the kill shot all match, and she still can't get it. Dunlap
catches the boot, and again, a figure 4 sharpshooter. Wow, this has got to be painful for Kai and the damage that she sustained on her knees in the past, and in this match in particular. But once again, she's able to actually work her way out of that submission, and she does it. And Kai, chiropractor. Dakota Kai, boot to the gut, got her way out of the submission, and Dakota Kai will have the advantage at Nitro. Dakota Kai. That was a hard-fought match, but Kai will be the one to hand Kaitlyn Dunlap her first loss on the GAW main roster and only her second loss in a match of any kind since coming here to GAW. What a performance from Dakota Kai. I don't want to leave you hanging, by the way, real quick. The only rookie to ever compete at Nitro at any time was Will Hobbs. Folks, Nitro is coming up. Kaitlyn Dunlap will be the first rookie to fight for a championship at Nitro. Join us on tomorrow on Tuesday for a special presentation of GAW Academy Stormchaser. Nitro is not too far away, folks. Get excited. Subscribe. We appreciate you.